and in focus. Click the links for Odysee and Chute where the real content is. So if you hear nothing else, hear this. Merager, who stands 6'2" and weighs around 200 pounds, says the women are mistaking a large appendage for an erection. I don't have a small penis, but you can't say that's an erection, Merager says. What if you use a men's room and someone said they don't like the size or shape of your penis? That's what they're doing. Except, of course, you're using the woman's room and you're a biological male with his twig and berries flopping around in the breeze. A man in the woman's room. This is where you are now, California. Are you winning, California? This is what you voted for. This is what you get. I hope you enjoy it. This isn't Merager's first indecent exposure case. It was convicted in 2003 for looking through the window of an elderly woman's home. Listen, I'm not advocating degeneracy or illegal acts, but why an elderly woman? Couldn't you find someone like younger and hotter? I mean, you're gonna get to charge anyway. At least make it like worth something. I mean, that's the real measure of degeneracy. I may have been somewhere I didn't belong, but I wasn't doing it for sexual gratification, and I wasn't showing myself off, Merager contests. Merager says it was a mistake to plead guilty. When asked if they ever enjoyed themselves on the property, they said, I don't remember that night, so I can't comment. That was a long time ago. Is this peak clown world? Oh, it's going to get worse from here. So if you remember this story, this is in LA somewhere, the Wee Spa story. I think Annie to Go covered it. Turns out it's a guy who goes in a lady's room and exposes himself to children. You know, if you're exposing yourself to adult women, it's like they're over 18. It's nothing they haven't seen before. It's not the end of the world. You know, it's like a nude beach. All right, that's how California wants to roll with, like, men in the women's room. You know, it's a bunch of over 18-year-olds. It's just not, I just don't care. It's not the big deal. If that's, like, no one's forcing you to go to this spa. You can find another spa, or you can make a private club, or you can just not go to the spas, and you fucking leave California. What a fucking mess state it is. It's the kids thing I think most people have a problem with, is you're exposing yourself around children. It's kind of creepy. So when this story came out, immediately the left-wing media came out and said, oh, it's probably a hoax. It probably never happened. This person may never have existed. I thank God it was a black woman who was doing the recording. And she was flabbergasted. She goes, there's a man in the woman's room, naked, exposing himself to children. And she tells the clerk, the counter girl, and he goes, oh yeah, that's the state of California. It's a law in California. We can't do anything about it. And most normies hear this and you're like, are you kidding me? Who would pass a law? And then you look at, is it Scott Wiener, the guy who's, he's passed some law to make it easier to diddle kids. And you look at Scott Wiener, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. He was at some gay pride parade. He's this giant, skinny twink. I guess he's like 6'8", but he's like 100 and probably 50 pounds or something, wearing some bondage gear, some San Francisco pride parade. And you're like, yeah, this looks like the guy who would make it easier for people to diddle kids, which is the bill he was trying to pass, which I think did pass because it's California and it's clown world. Anyway, so when this story came out, they said, oh, it's probably a hoax. This guy doesn't exist. There probably was no dong in the ladies' room, but if it was, it's stunning and brave because it's California. You have the right to walk around and shower with little girls. That's California. A man, 6'2", showering in the shower with little girls. And you say that, you're like, oh, so did he put him in prison for like 20 years? No, you don't understand. That's the law in California. You can do that in California. That's insane. Hey, you guys just reelected Gavin Newsom. You get what you get. You get what you fucking deserve. So they said it was fake. And then it comes out that women were protesting it, the man exposing himself to little girls. And then Antifa came and protested the protesters. And then Antifa got confused one day, and one Antifa stabbed another Antifa. Because they didn't know who was protesting whom, and they were like, well, I've got to stab somebody today, so I'll stab another Antifa, which is, It's funny, but no, it's not really that funny. It's like it's the decline of a civilization. You're letting a country just go to shit because of liberalism. And then there was another stabbing, and I don't know if Antifa stabbed somebody or one of the anti degeneracy ladies stabbed Antifa. But there were two stabbings over this. This is in California, where this is what they want. This is what you get. Two stabbings over this because they said, oh, well, there probably was no trans person there, but if he was there, he has the right to be there and have be naked around little girls. Again, I don't have a problem with exposing yourself to adult women. That's fine. They can handle it. Kids. Most people say, you know what? Just leave kids alone. Leave them alone till they're 18. It's not that hard to do. It's just not asking. It's not asking that much of a civilized society to say, we can just hands off people until they've got a little experience with it. And ultimately, if you're at a spa and you see men in the women's room, it's like, you're just going to leave the spa. And it's like, it's not the spa's fault. They have no problem. Oh, actually, he was kicked out earlier because he was, I don't know, in pleasuring himself in the ladies' room. He actually has 2 outstanding warrants for his arrest right now. He's a fugitive on the run. So it turns out he does exist. So this person, protesters, transgender activist, he's at large, a fugitive on the run, 2 arrest warrants. He's got a prior criminal history. Second arrest warrant was issued. He failed to appear at a hearing related to 6 felony charges of indecent exposure. Okay, so he's mentally ill. In connection with the previous case, West Hollywood swimming pool. Well, West Hollywood, kind of anything goes, if I remember correctly. He's a registered sex offender in California for 2 prior convictions of indecent exposure. Identifies as a woman. He's 6'2". How do you identify as a woman? But law enforcement says that's a ruse to get into women's only areas. Well, law enforcement sounds transphobic, and they should be arrested and prosecuted for their transphobic hate. Well, what about that he's a registered sex offender? Oh, no. That's transphobia. It's just transphobia. We should arrest the cops, put them in prison for transphobic statements, for saying that he's a predator. So in this Weiss case, he's accused of exposing. Doesn't matter if it's erect or not. And like I said, to the 4 women, they've seen it before. They've seen tons of cock in their life. It's the exposure of any sort of penis, erect or not. It doesn't really matter to me, I don't think. To a kid. That's the degenerate part, where anything I say along that lines would just get me kicked off YouTube. And now, in clown world, it would probably get me arrested for anyway. So in an interview, I just kind of think that there should be a redress of grievance against this sort of thing if you expose yourself to kids. Like, after legal due process, of course. I'm thinking something like a public caning. Something public, just to say, oh, this is a degenerate. This is kind of like, you can't expose yourself to kids, girl or boy, so you just can't walk around naked. It's like, and people are like, I'm sure the business has fallen off on WeSpawn. They're like, what are we going to do? It's a California law. We have no choice. We could change. We just can't do anything. I mean, the only thing you could do is, I don't see what California just says. Well, why don't we just forget this whole gender thing, because it's kind of nonsense, and say we're going to segregate bathrooms by sex, by your biological sex. If you're a biological man, you're XY, you go in the XY room. You're XX, you go in the X. Oh, how do you know what they are? Because we're not fucking retarded. That's how we know. So in an interview with the Post, Merager said of the warrant, I consider this a kidnapping. My anonymity is being ruined in a slanderous way. You get like 6 felony warrants out, bro. You're a wanted fugitive. You're on the run. He's on the run now. He's going to be arrested. He'll eventually turn himself in after he'll be arrested for some stupid shit too, because it's like they do this nonstop stupid shit. I would say, so Cubana Angel, she's probably on YouTube. Or she's on Instagram. Her video went viral. She just couldn't believe there's a guy with his cock out. And nobody has a problem. This video is going to get destroyed by YouTube. She's complaining to the staff and like, yeah, what are we going to do? We got a Koreatown. So the probably Koreans are like, yeah, we don't understand it either. We have no choice. This is what you voted for. This is what you want. So there's weeks of Antifa protesting. So like, gee, Antifa, you're going to maybe walk back your protest? You stabbed 2 people. One of them your own person. So all this was for nothing. All this was absolutely for nothing. It's like this guy's a complete degenerate with 6 felony arrests or charges. This is insane. that this is where we are. Like, this doesn't end well. Where do you think all this ends? You know, the best protest of something like this would be if a bunch of men just went in all these places. I don't know. I mean, if, like, how would you accelerate this to destruction? The accelerated to destruction is you take male athletes and have them join the women's teams and just dominate the women's teams for like 2 years solid. All of the women's teams, the Olympic teams. There's no sport that a woman is going to beat a man in except for long distance swimming. Every other sport, you're going to have men dominate. So just have, like, if you really want to accelerate this and end this, that would be the way to do it. Every sport across the board except for some swimming events, because women have a bit, they can be fit and carry a little bit more body fat, so it gives them more buoyancy in long distance swimming. That's literally the only sport. Everything else is going to be male dominated, because there's a biological sex dimorphism. It is what it is. It's like, that would be a great way to accelerate it. You got some guy, like, I don't know what the super heavyweight class is for powerlifting. Like, I don't know what the woman's record is for squatting is probably, I don't know. Say it's, I'm just pulling this out. I say it's like 400 pounds or 200 kilos, about that, which is probably, it's probably much higher than that. But so like the male power lifter who's, you know, in the 200 pound class, it's like he's going to come in and he's going to beat that easily. It's not exactly a warm up weight for him. It's like he might, like, male powerlifters are not going to beat that by 100%, but they're going to beat it by a comfortable 20%. It's like they're going to take first, second, and third place across the board. Like the WNBA, why would anyone watch that? You take guys in high school who don't have a chance of even getting a college scholarship because they're just not good enough. You know, they're 6'6", they're great ball players, but they're just not good enough for college, and there's no way they're going to get in the NBA. You put them in the WNBA, and the WNBA would all be men. Like, that's the only way to accelerate it. Hey, listen, if you're a dude who likes to play ball, the WNBA is like, it's paying 6 figures a year. And if you're trans and you go join the WNBA, you're going to get endorsement deals, because they really can't not give you an endorsement deal, because otherwise you can publicly shame them on social media. That's Clown World. That's where we are right now. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, go to BitChute and Odysee, and sub to the other YouTube channel. I'll see you guys on the next episode.